America's Muslim population may be thriving, but a recent study found that barely half of the over 2,000 mosques here have a full-time imam. The rest must rely on volunteer prayer leaders. And that's not the only problem. The vast majority of the imams in the United States were born and trained in one of the Muslim countries, and observers say they may have trouble reaching out to young Muslims born in America.
God bless all the imams that came from the first generation, or imams that came from different parts of the world. You know, they tried their utmost and they worked extremely hard to enthuse the Muslim community with faith and piety and religiosity, and they've done a great job in establishing centers and institutions and different places of educational facilities for the Muslims. But I felt myself that they were not catering towards the new generation, or they were not preparing people or leadership or scholars that are prepared to take Muslims into the future, to the next stage, So I felt that it was very important for us to focus on our own rather than having to ship people over from overseas.
There are only a handful of seminaries training new imams in America. Shaikh Yaseen, who immigrated 7 years ago from London, England, is head of a new seminary here near Washington. Next month, the first small group of high school and college-age students will start the 6-year study program.
The community is slowly understanding, the Muslim community, that they're worried about their next generation. They're worried about their children, their grandchildren, their great-grandchildren to come, and they're worried about losing them to the different lifestyle, which is the American lifestyle, which can sometimes of course, the values of American lifestyle are shared within Islam in terms of civil liberties and the concepts of freedom, etc., so on and so forth. But then there's other parts to that which could become problematic.
Many American Muslims think it is good to train a new generation of imams who will not only know the classical teachings of Islam, but also be at home in American culture.
I feel like it would be an advantage to the youth of today that are actually born here, of this generation, of American generation, if they had imams that actually understand the tradition and the cultures of like Western culture, and who were also raised by them, and that don't necessarily abide by Western culture, but they were raised in Western culture.
As Muslims growing up in this nation, like myself, I came here when I was 2 years old. There are obviously like different distractions and different like things that people go through, and when you have people who develop and learn and become scholars, become like who follow the Quran, like learn the Quran and learn like other different things that are not really offered in other areas, and like they learn it in the environment that you grew up in, that kind of helps out because like you can really connect to the people.
There is such competition for religious leaders among the mosques in America that imams who have just graduated or arrived from abroad are almost assured of quickly finding a full-time job. In recent decades, America's Muslim population has grown by leaps and bounds, but the number of imams has not kept pace. Efforts like this one are hoping to begin to fill that gap with scholars who not only know Islam, but are fluent in the local culture. Burton Bolag, KSA2, Washington.